Hey y'all, I'm back with my May 2024 reading wrap up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Books with Kimberly. Don't forget to like, comment, share my channel, and subscribe. Y'all, I am so excited to be back with my May 2024 reading wrap up. In the month of May, I read a total of 7 books, and I did exactly what I said I would do, which is diversify my reading methods more. So those 7 books break down into 4 audiobooks, 2 ebooks, and 1 physical book. So I'm super proud of myself, and let's get right into the books that I read in the month of May. The first book is an ebook that I mentioned in a previous video of trying to finish it, and that is The Boyfriend Project by Farrah Rochon. I have been reading this ebook for a couple of months, and I had stopped and would pick up something else. But I finally made myself finish this ebook. And to be honest, overall, I've liked it. It was pretty good. The main female character of The Boyfriend Project is Samaya. Samaya works at Trendsetters, which is this huge tech company in Austin, Texas. She's one of the only Black women working in tech in this business. And so she puts a lot of pressure on herself to be this super employee that's always taking on projects, always there to help other employees, because she wants to be an example of why this business in particular, should hire more Black women in tech. I absolutely love this element of the story. We get introduced to Samaya. She's dating a guy named Craig, and comes to find out this guy is not only dating Samaya, but he's dating 2 other women, Taylor and London. The 3 of them confront him. The moment goes viral because it is filmed by one of the patrons in the restaurant. And the 3 women become really good friends because they share this experience together. And the 3 of them make a pact. So the Boyfriend Project is these women deciding for 6 months they're going to only focus on their careers and no dating and see where it goes. Enter in the main male character of this book, Daniel. Daniel is working at Trendsetters, but he's really there because there's some money laundering going on. So while he's working undercover, him and Samaya spark this work romance. Overall, I really did think this book was cute, and I like Daniel and Samia together and their slow burn romance that was building up. However, I feel like I read romance to kind of escape from what seems more like my reality of working all the time. So the fact that their main setting of their romance was at work and working on projects, and so it was very work focused, and I feel like the story really dragged. Those things are what I took off for, but overall I thought the book was cute. And I feel like it's a 3.7, 3.8. And so I don't mind rounding up to 4 stars. So the second book I finished in the month of May, I actually started it in April. This is a physical book from the library, and that is For Your Love by Beverly Jenkins. This is another great book in the Blessing series. I absolutely love this story. This one talks about Trent. Trent is married to Lily. Trent and Lily reconnects in the previous books and get married, and they have their adoptive children. Trent, his mother comes back into the picture, and it's so beautiful watching him and his family connect with his mother for the first time after going his whole entire life thinking that she abandoned him and did not want him. I love reading about Trent. He is definitely going on the book boyfriends list, because book husbands list, because honey, he is a good man, Savannah. He shows up for those children, shows up for his wife, and not only for the town, because he is the mayor of Henry Adams, but he also shows up for the new people that come into town. You get reintroduced to Bobby and Kiki, who moves to Henry Adams, and he takes Bobby under his wings. And it's just so beautiful seeing how the blessings just continue to pour into this town. And this series is just so heartwarming and loving. I give For Your Love 5 stars, and I cannot wait to continue the Blessing series. First book that I started in May and finished in May was one that I was super excited about, and that is A Love Song for Ricki Wilde by Tia Williams. I listened to this book on Audible, and it was such a beautiful read. The book starts off in Atlanta, where Ricki is the black sheep of the family. She's known as the screw up. She has a passion for flowers and floral arrangements. Her family does not take this serious. So she meets an elderly lady who just lost her husband, Miss Della. After Ricki and Miss Della have this conversation about her career aspirations, Miss Della tells her that she's moving to New York, and she offers Ricki the chance of a lifetime. She tells her, look, I have the perfect location for your floral shop. So she moves to Harlem, New York, starts her business, The Wilde Things. So in this book, we get two perspectives. We have the perspective of Ricki and this floral shop, and Miss Della and her new best friend Tuesday. And we also go back in time to the Harlem Renaissance in 1923 and get the story of Breeze Walker. And he is a piano player. He is playing in a band, and he is blowing up when it comes to this Harlem Renaissance. Ricki's story, which is present day 2024, she runs into Ezra Walker, which as the reader, I'm thinking Ezra is a descendant from Breeze Walker from the Harlem Renaissance portions of this book. We get this beautiful romance between Ezra, who is also a musician, and Ricki. So the book takes an unexpected twist, and we really find out why Ezra was so resistant to starting this relationship, but also why they are so drawn to each other. I won't spoil this part of the book, but what I will say is a love song for Ricki Wilde was super romantic. I thought it was a beautiful story. I loved reading the relationships grow between Ricki and Miss Della, Ricki and Tuesday, Ricki and Ezra. And I also love the history we get of the Harlem Renaissance through the character Breeze Walker. This story was so good. I will say that some of it felt a little disjointed to me. I feel like the big twist in this book, it kind of came suddenly out of nowhere, and I wished it would have flowed better with the book. Because this book just gave me pure joy and happiness. I loved reading the love story. It gave me emotional moments that had me shed a tear. I am absolutely giving this book 5 stars. The next 3 books are all romance novels by Kennedy Ryan. This was not done on purpose. A few years ago, I read the book Real by Kennedy Ryan. She has a Renaissance novella that takes a character from Real and gives them a love story within this novella. As I started listening to the audiobook, I realized that there were characters within this book that were also from the Hoop series. So I went back and finished the Hoop series. Before I get into these 3 books, I want to talk about what makes a great Kennedy Ryan book for me. Besides the book Real, I noticed that all of the books that I have read by Kennedy Ryan are books where the 2 main characters knew each other before, and they are rekindling a love or rediscovering or starting a relationship from present day. So this connection really made me realize the elements that I really love in a good Kennedy Ryan book. In her books, we get this nostalgic history between the characters that really sparks some really nice chemistry. 2, there's this physical chemistry that the 2 characters have, and then 3, the emotional chemistry. For me, a good Kennedy Ryan book has the perfect balance of all 3 of these elements. And I'm going to talk more about that as I review each book. So let's start off with the books that I read in the Hoop series. Book number 2 in the Hoop series is Block Shot. The first one was Long Shot, which was about Iris and August being a famous NBA player. In the book Block Shot, we get the main characters, Banner and Jared. Jared is white. Banner is Hispanic. Jared is also the brother of August from Long Shot. And the 2 of them have a sports agency together where Jared is the big sports agent. Banner also is a sports agent and works at an agency that is rival to his. The book Block Shot starts off with that history between Banner and Jared. Banner is his best friend, and he's also secretly in love with her. He decides to spill his feelings because Banner is moving away. They share this steamy moment, and then the fraternity brothers burst in and make the whole moment part of that initiation. So Banner is completely turned off, and her and Jared don't speak to each other for years. So fast forward to present day. Banner is currently in a relationship with a basketball player, but when her and Jared keep bumping into each other, that history of them once being friends starts to get her thinking maybe that moment that we had in college was real. It wasn't just about him being a part of the fraternity. She gets those emotions stirring back up, and the two of them start a relationship even though she's already in a relationship. This book was an interesting read for me. When it comes to those three elements that I previously spoke about that I love in Kennedy Ryan's book, the nostalgia was there for me. They have an interesting history. There was some drama there. So that was strong. But what I will say is this book focused heavily on that physical connection. It's like Jared had this hunger for her. It almost came off very dark, very Christian Grey-ish. And if y'all know who Christian Grey is, you know what I'm talking about. It didn't go into that realm of 50 Shades of Grey, but it was definitely given like this, he's so hungry for her, he gotta have her, and it was just all these smutty moments between the two of them, which really disappointed me because I wanted more of that emotional connection in this book because the two of them have the history and they were once best friends. Because Kennedy Ryan is such a great writer, I thought this book had really good elements anyway. So I'm gonna rate this book 3 stars. Last book in the Hoop series, y'all, was Hook Shot. This is the story of Lotus, who is the cousin of Iris in the first book. And this is the story of Keenan, who is the teammate of August from the first book. Y'all, Lotus and Keenan, when I tell you their love story is so beautiful, it was the perfect balance of those elements. Now, their history was not as big. The two of them, of course, have been running into each other because of Iris and August. And so there's been an attraction there. There's been an interest there, but they don't have the past of dating. Now, the emotional connection in this story was out of the roof, and I absolutely loved it, y'all. This book is about Lotus. Lotus is a designer in New York, and Keenan is spending time in New York in off season because that is where his daughter and his ex-wife is. His ex-wife cheated on him, y'all. She cheated on him with one of his teammates. So they went through this big nasty divorce, and now she is on a Basketball Wives spoof of a reality TV show. Lotus is in an interesting spot in her life. She's going through a man cleanse right now and decides to be celibate. So because of this, when her and Keenan encounter each other in New York, the two of them really build this emotional connection that I absolutely love. They go on dates. They talk about their past. I will say this is my favorite Kennedy Ryan romance novel. I absolutely love this book because the emotional elements were there. Of course, there are some twists and turns. The daughter isn't happy with their relationship, which puts a pause on things, but you can still just feel their emotional connection throughout this entire book. And even when the physical elements do start, it's really good, but it's the anticipation of all of it because the emotional connection was really built up. I absolutely love this book and give it 5 stars. On to the Renaissance novella, The Close-Up, a Renaissance novella by Kennedy Ryan. Y'all, this novella was disappointing for me. What I loved about this book is that we do get to see characters from the Hoop series within this book. That was like the best thing for me. The book starts off really good. We get the history of Nas and Takira. Takira being the hairstylist who was in the book Real. That's why it's a Renaissance novella. So the book opens up with Nas and Takira. They're in their senior year of high school. Takira's brother is the captain of the basketball team. They have a championship game the next day. And so the team is meeting at Takira's house to have this dinner with the brother. The brother is warning everybody his sister is off limits, but Takira and Nas have this chemistry and they have this moment, and the two of them decide they're going to secretly date anyway. The book immediately jumps to the present day where Nas is a famous NBA player, and he is only an NBA player because Takira's brother screwed up at the championship game and was put out of the game. And so Nas came in and took over and got the college scholarship, got drafted into the NBA. And so her brother spiraled into alcoholism and drug use, and it's been tough on their family ever since, and he absolutely hates Nas. Fast forward to a fashion show for Lotus. The two of them reconnect, and what I thought would be really beautiful and an emotional thing happening, because they did have that nostalgic moment when they were kids, the emotional chemistry just was not there for me. They did talk a lot about how the two of them can't date because he's such a big trigger for her brother. But this book really just focused on the physical chemistry. There is a birthday trip planned for Keenan from the Hookshot series, and the two of them go on this trip as a couple, and they end up just really focusing on that physical connection instead of that emotional connection, which is what I really wanted to see. So I am giving this book 3 stars. Y'all, the last book that I read in the month of May was one that really shocked me. I have been seeing this Eisenberg series by Gray Huffington all over the book groups I'm in. I had a feeling it was urban fiction, but I just wanted to read it to see what the hype was about. So I read the ebook version of the first book in the Eisenberg series, which is Luca. Luca by Gray Huffington was surprisingly really good. I actually enjoyed it. I did take off a point right away because this book does have grammatical errors. The story is about Ever, who escapes her abusive boyfriend with her 2 children that they share together, and she goes to live with her best friend Lyric in her hometown. And so while she's there, Lyric's brother Luca, he gets released from prison. He was in prison 8 years. As soon as Luca sets eyes on Ever, he immediately wants her. And so he lets her know right up front, you're the one I want. I'm trying to have you not working, put up in a house, giving you a stipend every month, have you a car, help you start a business. So, honey, I was here for it. This is a different kind of romance than I'm used to. But I was here for Luca paying for all of Ever's bills, taking care of her and these kids. Yes, Luca is very blunt, and I felt like he wasn't taking into account she just left an abusive relationship. Like, the girl needs time to think. Give her a moment. She just met you. But the two of them had a connection from the car ride of him being released from prison. And honey, when Luca put the foot on the gas, there was no letting up. And the book was steamy. Their relationship, I really grew to enjoy reading the two of them. There were no subplots in this story, besides us knowing that the ex is gonna eventually show up. But the way that Luca handled that, he handled it like a true G would. The only thing is, they never talk about where this money comes from. We know the money is illegal, but they don't really talk about the street aspects of like what is possibly taking place for the Eisenbergs to have this money. So I'm invested, y'all. I want to continue this series. It is definitely urban fiction, but I love that it hasn't gotten all into the street life of things, because that's typically not the kind of urban fiction I like anyway. So I give Luca 4 stars. That is it for the books I read in the month of May. I can't wait to come back and tell y'all what I'm reading in June, because I'm starting the month off right. Get down in those comments and let me know what books you've been reading, what books you've enjoyed. And thanks again for tuning in to a Books with Kimberly video.